I died choking on my own blood. The taste of betrayal, metallic and thick. As Ethan's hands, those same hands that once cradled our newborn son, pressed a pillow over my face while Liam screamed from the hallway, too small to understand why Mommy wasn't getting up. The last thing I saw was the glint of that diamond ring he'd bought me on our 5th anniversary, now twisted around his finger like a noose. Right before the world went black and cold, colder than the Chicago winter outside our bedroom window. But death isn't the end when you've got unfinished business. I woke up gasping in that same bed. 3 years earlier, with the date on my phone screaming October 15th, 2022, and Ethan's arms slung over me like nothing had ever gone wrong yet. My name is Aaliyah Brooks, and in my first life, I was the fool who built a castle out of lies, thinking love could weather any storm. 32 years old, a marketing exec at a mid-tier ad firm in downtown Chicago, with a laugh that could light up boardrooms and a body that turned heads in yoga pants. I met Ethan at a rooftop bar in Wrigleyville during a Cubs game, fireworks exploding overhead, his blue eyes sparkling like the lake under moonlight. He was a rising star in finance, all sharp suits and sharper wit, whispering promises about white picket fences and family vacations while his fingers traced circles on my thigh. We married in a backyard ceremony in Naperville, under a tent strung with fairy lights. And 9 months later, Liam arrived, all chubby cheeks and gummy smiles, the glue that held our perfect American dream together. But perfection's just a pretty filter on a rotting photo. In that first life, the cracks started small, Ethan's late nights at the office stretching into dawn, the perfume I didn't wear clinging to his collars, the way he'd snap when I asked about the second phone buzzing in his pocket. I chalked it up to stress. His job at Goldman Sachs was cutthroat, bonuses tied to deals that could make or break careers. "Babe, it's nothing," he'd say, pulling me close, his breath warm against my neck. "You're my everything." And God help me, I believed him. Until the night I came home early from a client dinner, my heels clicking on the hardwood, and found them, him and her, tangled in our king-sized bed, the sheets we'd picked out together twisted like accusations. Her name was Vanessa, a junior analyst from his firm, all legs and ambition, with a laugh like shattered glass. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I just stood there, wine glass slipping from my hand, red staining the rug like a crime scene. Ethan bolted up, stammering apologies, but Vanessa just smirked, pulling the sheet around her like a trophy. "It's not what it looks like, Ollie," he said, which was the dumbest lie ever told. It looked exactly like betrayal. Serve hot and unfiltered. I forgave him. Because that's what good wives do.
Right? Pour another glass.
Pretend the hurt's just a bruise that'll fade. We went to couples therapy in Lincoln Park, the kind with scented candles and affirmations. Liam started walking around then, his tiny feet pattering like a metronome to our fragile rhythm. Ethan swore it was a one-time mistake, blamed the pressure, the booze. He even got me that necklace, a sapphire pendant that matched my eyes, to make it right. I wore it like armor, ignoring how it choked me sometimes. But forgiveness is a loan shark. It collects with interest. 6 months later, I found the emails. Not to Vanessa, oh no. That was amateur hour. These were to a lawyer in Delaware, about offshore accounts, shell companies siphoning funds from his clients' pensions. Ethan wasn't just cheating on me, he was stealing from retirees, widows like my own mama who'd lost dad to cancer and scrimped on Social Security to make ends meet. The numbers were obscene, millions funneled through crypto wallets, laundered clean as his pressed shirts. He'd roped in Vanessa as his accomplice. Her ambition, translating to forging signatures and cooking books. I confronted him in the kitchen. Liam napping upstairs. The scent of spaghetti sauce bubbling on the stove like a false domestic bliss. What the hell is this? I shoved the laptop at him. My voice a whip. Ethan's face drained of color, then hardened into that cold mask he saved for board meetings. You weren't supposed to see that. Not I'm sorry, not let me explain. Just a statement of fact. Like I'd tripped over his dry cleaning.
He didn't beg.
He calculated. That night, after tucking Liam in, he poured us wine, mine laced with enough fentanyl to drop an elephant, swiped from a friend, at the hospital where his buddy worked. I woke up zip-tied to a chair in the basement, the concrete biting into my skin, while he paced like a caged wolf. You think you can ruin me, Aaliyah? After everything I've given you? Everything he'd given, huh? The house in Oak Park. The leased BMW. The private preschool for Liam, they were all bought with blood money. He confessed it all then. In that dim bulb's glow, the affairs to seal deals. The fraud to climb the ladder. The plan to frame me for embezzlement if I talked. Vanessa was upstairs, watching Liam, her loyalty bought with a cut of the pie. Sign the papers, he said, sliding a confession across the table. Admit you knew, and I'll let you walk. Keep your mouth shut. And Liam stays with me. I laughed, bitter and broken. You'd kill your own son before letting him see what a monster you are. That's when the pillow came out. Not dramatic. No movie villain monologue, just efficient. Like closing a bad trade. Liam's cries echoed as the darkness swallowed me. My last thought a prayer that he'd run far from this hell. And then nothing. Until the gasp. The jolt. The sterile hotel room in 2022 slamming into focus. I'd gone back on a business trip to New York. 3 years before the basement. Before the affair even started. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Miss you already.
Babe.
Hurry home. I stared at it, while rising, and smashed the screen against the nightstand. This time, I wouldn't be the good wife. This time, I'd burn it all down. The flight back to O'Hare was a blur of rage and recalibration. I booked a therapist, not the couple's kind, but a no-bullshit shrink in Wicker Park who specialized in trauma.
Dr.
Elena Vasquez, with her sharp bob and sharper questions, became my confessor. I couldn't tell her the truth, not the dying part, but I spilled enough half-truths about gut feelings and red flags to get a prescription for anxiety meds and a referral to a divorce attorney. You're not crazy for trusting your instincts, Aaliyah, she said over chamomile tea. Gaslighting starts subtle. Don't let it steal your voice. Ethan picked me up at the airport. All smiles and airport flowers. But I saw the cracks now, the way his eyes darted when I hugged him too tight. The faint scent of someone else's gum on his jacket. It was early days. The affair hadn't ignited yet, but the fraud was already simmering. I'd hacked his email in my first life. Password was Liam's birthday. The idiot, and knew the first shady wire transfer hit on October 20th. 5 days from now. I played the part at first. Dinners at Giordano's. Folding his socks just so. Whispering sweet nothings in bed, while mentally cataloging his sins. Liam was 2 then. A tornado of curls and curiosity. Oblivious to the storm brewing. I'd scoop him up after daycare. His sticky fingers in my hair. And think. Not this time. Baby. Mommy's got you. But every night, as Ethan's snores rattled the headboard, I'd lie awake plotting. Revenge isn't a straight line. It's a web. Sticky and patient. Step 1. Evidence. I started small, snapping photos of his work files left on the kitchen island, spreadsheets with coded columns that screamed Ponzi. I uploaded them to an encrypted drive under a fake name, timestamped and notarized digitally. Step 2. Allies. I reached out to an old college buddy, Marcus, now a PI in the loop. Hypothetically, I said over beers at the Berghof, "How do you tail a cheating spouse without getting caught?" He laughed, but his eyes narrowed. Hypothetically, use a burner app and a dashcam. What's the bastard done? I told him enough omissions about my death, of course, to get him on board. Marcus tailed Ethan to after-hours meetings, catching him with Vanessa at a dive bar in Pilsen, their hands brushing over IPAs. No sex yet, but the spark was there, fanned by whispers of big scores. I had the photos. The texts Marcus forwarded. "Can't wait to celebrate that bonus with you." Celebrate on stolen money. You prick. But revenge needs teeth. And mine were dulling with doubt. What about Liam? Dragging him through a custody war, exposing him to the ugliness. Was that fair? Ethan doted on him publicly. Little League games in summer. Pumpkin patches in fall. Daddy's little slugger, he'd call him, ruffling his hair. But in private, I'd seen the temper flares. The way he'd grip the steering wheel white-knuckled after a bad call. In my first life, he'd used Liam as leverage, threatening to paint me as unstable if I fought back. This time, I'd flip the script. The first real fracture came on Halloween. We were at the Lincoln Park Zoo Boo. Liam dressed as a pint-sized Spider-Man, his mask askew as he toddled between fake cobwebs. Ethan was on his phone, checking emails, but I glimpsed the recipient, VR.
Vanessa Ruiz.
My stomach twisted, but I smiled for the selfies, posting them to Instagram with a caption about family magic. That night, back home, I waited until he was in the shower, then rifled his briefcase. Jackpot. A USB drive labeled taxes, fat with client files ripe for the SEC. I copied it all, heart pounding like a jackhammer, and emailed an anonymous tip to the Chicago field office. Possible securities fraud. See attached. No sleep that night. I lay beside him, listening to the water run, imagining the cuffs clicking shut. But Ethan was slippery mornings after. He'd act normal, brewing coffee like a saint, kissing my forehead. "You okay, Ollie? You seem distant." Distant? I was a ghost haunting my own life, waiting to exorcise him. Winter hit hard that year, the kind of Chicago cold that seeps into your bones and stays. November brought Thanksgiving, turkey and tension at my mama's in Englewood. She clocked it immediately, my forced laughs, the way I flinched when Ethan touched my arm. "What's eating you, baby girl?" she whispered while he carved the bird. Mama had raised me solo after Dad's heart attack, her nurse's scrubs starched with suspicion of men like Ethan. He's a user. Aaliyah. Always was. I brushed it off, but her words burrowed deep. By December, the affair was in full swing. Marcus sent videos, Ethan and Vanessa at the violet hour, her head on his shoulder, his hand on her knee under the table. I watched them on loop in my office bathroom, tears hot and silent, then forwarded copies to his boss at Goldman and signed, "Of course." HR matter, the email read.
Petty? Maybe.
But it forced his hand. He started coming home earlier, smothering me with affection to cover his tracks. "Let's renew our vows," he suggested one night. Candles flickering on the mantel. Make it official again.
I almost laughed.
Vows to a liar? Instead, I nodded, plotting how to use it against him. The real bomb dropped on Christmas Eve. Liam was 3 by then, eyes wide at the tree lights, begging for just one present early. Ethan played Santa, ho-ho-hoing from the garage. But I caught him slipping a small box into his coat pocket, not for us. For her. Rage boiled. But I channeled it. That night, after Liam crashed from sugar overload, I confronted him in the study. Who's Vanessa? I said, voice steady as steel. His face crumpled, then rebuilt into denial.
What?
Ollie, you're paranoid. It's work stress. I slapped the phone down. Marcus's video playing on mute, their lips locked in grainy betrayal. Ethan deflated, sinking into the leather chair. It was nothing. A mistake. Please. For Liam. The same script as before. But this time, I didn't fold. Pack your shit. Get out, he begged. Then bargained counseling, assets, anything. When that failed, the mask slipped. You think you can just end this? I've got dirt on you too.
Aaliyah.
That side hustle you ran last year? Those under-the-table gigs for your cousin's shop? IRS would love that. Lies. All of it. I'd never cheated taxes, but doubt wormed in. Was this the start of his smear campaign? I filed for divorce the next morning. New Year's Day. With a shark from Elena's network, Carla Ortiz, who ate cheating husbands for breakfast. Custody papers hit Ethan's desk by epiphany, demanding full physical to me, supervised visits for him. He lawyered up fast, countersuing for alienation, claiming I was unstable. Therapy notes, twisted. Friends subpoenaed. The courts in Cook County moved slow as molasses. But the fraud tip? That ignited. The SEC raided Goldman's Chicago office on a Tuesday in February. Agents in windbreakers swarming like locusts. Ethan's name topped the list. Insider docs leaked to the Tribune painted him as the ringleader. Brooks the crook, they called him in whispers. Vanessa flipped first. Plea deal for immunity. Spilling how he'd groomed her. Used her ambition like a tool. The headline screamed, Finance Whizz's Double Life, Affairs and Embezzlement. Ethan moved into an extended stay in Schaumburg, calling me daily. Voice cracking. This is your fault.
Aaliyah.
You poked the bear. Threats veiled as pleas. Think of Liam. He needs his father. But Liam was thriving, preschool finger paints and bedtime stories with Mama. No tension thick as fog. Still, the boy asked for Daddy, his lower lip quivering. And it gutted me.
Was I the monster now?
Tearing his world apart? Spring thawed the ice. But not my resolve. Carla dug deeper, unearthing Ethan's history, a DUIs expunged, a college assault charge buried with Daddy's money. His family was old wasp stock from the North Shore, the kind that donated to campaigns to make problems vanish. They circled wagons, offering me a settlement, 6 figures to drop the fraud angle. Sign over Liam. For the child's sake, his mother cooed over tea, pearls choking her neck. I laughed in her face. Tell your son to rot. The twist came in April. Rain lashing the windows as I prepped dinner, vegan stir-fry. Liam's new favorite. A knock at the door, not Ethan, but a detective from CPD. Badge gleaming wet. Mrs. Brooks, we need to talk about your husband. My blood ran cold. Had he flipped it on me? But no. The basement in my first life flashed. The zip ties. The pillow. What about him? Turns out, Ethan's fraud had tendrils in darker places. Not just pensions he'd laundered for a South Side crew. Guns and product funneled through fake charities. A whistleblower, Vanessa again, led feds to a storage unit in Cicero, stuffed with ledgers tying him to a hit on a rival banker last summer. The victim? A guy who'd sniffed too close to the scheme. Ethan hadn't pulled the trigger, but he'd greenlit it over scotch. Vanessa's testimony claiming he'd bragged. Loose ends get tied. They arrested him at dawn. SWAT busting through his motel door. Liam still asleep in my bed after a sleepover. The news vans swarmed our street by noon, reporters yelling questions as I shielded his eyes. "Mommy, why's Daddy on TV?" he asked, pointing at the grainy mugshot. I knelt, pulling him close. "Daddy made bad choices. Baby. But we're safe now." Trial season hit like a freight train. Summer sweltered. Courtrooms airless with AC hum and whispered deals. I testified, voice steady, laying out the affair, the threats, the way he'd gaslit me into silence. Ethan's lawyer painted me as the vengeful ex, but Carla shredded it, texts, videos, the USB drive like a smoking gun. Vanessa took the stand, all remorse and tears. But the jury saw through her. She got 5 years deferred.
Ethan?
25 to life. Fraud stacked on conspiracy to murder. Sentencing in September. Him in orange, staring daggers as the judge banged the gavel. No remorse. Mr.
Brooks.
That's the real crime. His family's pew empty. They'd cut ties when the bodies surfaced. But the real gut punch waited in October. 3 years to the day I woke up. Liam and I at the zoo again. Leaves crunching underfoot. When my phone buzzed an unknown number. A voice. Gravelly and wrong. "You think it's over."
Aaliyah?
Ethan's crew doesn't forget snitches.
Click.
I froze. Cotton candy turning to ash in my mouth. The feds had rounded up the South Side players. But one ghost lingered, an enforcer named Rico, who'd done the hit and vanished. Marcus confirmed it later. Rico was out on bail. Eyes on me. Paranoia set in, every shadow a threat, every car idling too long a sign. I upped security cameras, a Glock in the nightstand, self-defense classes at the Y. Liam noticed. His question sharper. "Why do you lock the doors now?" "Mommy?" The confrontation brewed through fall, frost nipping at November's heels. I traced Rico to a chop shop in Humboldt Park. Marcus staking it out. "He's sloppy," my PI said. Girlfriends posting thirst traps from the wrong zip. But going after him? That was the controversial call, the one that'd haunt me. Vigilante justice isn't TV, it's gray,
Gritty.
a line you cross and can uncross. Elena warned me in session, revenge poisons the well. Aaliyah. Let the system work. But the system had failed me once. Left me dead in a basement. I decided on Christmas Eve, poetic. Vicious. Snow fell thick, blanketing Oak Park in white silence. Liam was with Mama for the night, safe in Englewood's glow. I drove to the chop shop, .38 heavy in my purse, heart a war drum. Rico was there, alone, tinkering with a stolen Escalade. Holiday lights strung ironic over the garage. "Looking for Ethan?" he said, not turning, wrench clinking. How'd he know? A leak. Maybe, cops on peril. We talked then. Circle of oil stains and exhaust. My gun drawn but trembling. He laughed.
Low and mean.
Your man's ghost bought my silence.
But you?
You're the one who sang. Lies twisted. Ethan had framed me in whispers. Called me the rat to save his skin. Rage surged. But so did clarity. This wasn't about him anymore. It was the cycle. The poison seeping into Liam's world. I didn't shoot. Instead, I recorded, his confessions spilling like cheap bourbon. Names, dates, the hit in vivid detail. Merry Christmas, Rico, I said, hitting send to the Fed's tip line. Sirens wailed minutes later. Blues closing in as I slipped into the night. Snow muffling my steps. By New Year's, Rico was in Supermax. The crew dismantled. The feds called me a key asset, anonymous forever. Life settled. Fragile but real. Liam starting kindergarten. Me promoted at work. Dating a quiet teacher from the PDA who made me laugh without strings. No vows renewed. Just quiet nights with takeout and bad TV. But on that frozen night in January 2026, Liam 5 now. Bundled against the 5 degrees Fahrenheit bite, I stepped out for firewood. Breath fogging the air. And there he was, small shoulders shaking on the porch steps. Forgotten in the chaos of Ethan's holiday call from prison. Daddy said to wait here, he whimpered. Teeth chattering.
Inside.
The phone rang again, Ethan's voice on speaker. Slurred and desperate. Come back. Ollie. I need to tell you something. About Liam. I scooped my boy up. Warmth flooding back. And slammed the door on the past. Whatever secret waited. It could freeze in hell. This time, we were writing our own ending, no more ghosts. The call cut off mid-sentence. Ethan's words hanging like icicles, sharp, precarious, ready to impale. I rocked Liam by the fire, his tiny body thawing against mine, but my mind raced a marathon. What secret? Paternity doubts? Some twisted claim to manipulate custody? I DNA tested early in the divorce. Results buried in Carla's files. 99.9% match. But Ethan thrived on mind games, even caged. He slithered through cracks. Morning brought clarity. Or, at least coffee-fueled resolve. I called the prison first R&D at Statesville. Voice flat as they confirmed the call. Collect. Approved. No recording glitches. Then Marcus, who grumbled over his Danish. On it, Ollie. But Ethan's playing you. Always has. By noon. He had prelims. Ethan's commissary logs showed extra stamps bought, smuggle notes, or bribes to guards. The man was a spider, weaving from his cell. Liam bounced back fast. Kid's resilience a miracle. Can we build a snow fort? Mommy, he asked, mittens dangling. We did. Out back by the garage. Packing wet snow into walls while I scanned the tree for shadows. Paranoia? Maybe. But after Rico, trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. That night, Elena's couch became my confessional again. You're hypervigilant, she said. Notepad balanced on her knee. Understandable trauma response. But don't let it eclipse the win.
Win?
The word tasted like ash. Ethan rotting in Gen Pop. Vanessa in witness protection with a new name and no friends. That was justice. Cold and contractual. But Liam's questions lingered. Why is Daddy mad? I'd deflect with cartoons. But the seed was planted. American dream, my ass. It was a minefield for single black moms. Stats stacked against us like Jenga. Poverty rates double. Custody battles triple the scrutiny. I'd clawed my way to stability. but one whisper from Ethan could topple it. February dragged. Valentine's a solo affair with Godiva and the Golden Girls reruns. Work buffered. A big campaign for a local brewery. Billboards up by March promising brewed bold. Drunk free. Irony not lost.
Then,
The letter arrived. Postmarked Statesville. No return address, but Ethan's scrawl unmistakable. Ollie. You think you know me? Read this. For Liam's sake.
E.
Inside. A single photo, me. Pregnant. Beaming at an ultrasound. Dated 2019. Back. Taped to it. A yellowed news clipping from the Sun-Times. Local nurse accused of fentanyl theft. My mama's face stared back. Younger. Haunted. What the? She'd been cleared. Chalked up to hospital error. But the dates. Oh God. The dates overlapped my first trimester checkups. Heart slamming. I dug through old boxes in the attic, dusty photo albums. Tax returns. Buried in a folder labeled medical, a lab report, anomalous levels in my blood work. Flagged but dismissed as dietary. Fentanyl traces. Ethan's friend at the hospital, the one who'd sourced the pillow's poison in my first life. Mama's theft. A setup to discredit her. Cover for doses slipped into my prenatals.
Why?
To induce early labor? Miscarry? Rage blacked my vision. I called Mama. Voice cracking. Did you know? Silence. Then sobs. Baby. I thought it was nothing. They said contamination. She spilled. Pressure from admins. Ethan's donation to the ward after. He'd targeted her job to control me. Even before Liam breathed. He wanted a boy, she whispered. Said it like a threat. The pieces slotted. Ethan's obsession with legacy. His wasp roots demanding an heir. If I'd lost the baby, he'd spin it, my negligence, grounds for annulment. Assets untouched. It was deeper than fraud. It was erasure. I forwarded the letter to Carla, who whistled low. This is attempted murder territory. We're open.
We did. Affidavits flew.
Mama testifying tear-streaked in a deposition. The hospital coughed up records under subpoena, doses logged to her badge. But timestamps fudged. Ethan's buddy.
Dr.
Harlan. Cracked under questioning. Plea bargaining for immunity. He paid me $5,000. Said it was a prank. Prank. On my womb. Spring bloomed violent, tulips bleeding red in planters, as the case ballooned. Media circled back. Ex-wife alleges prenatal sabotage in Brooke saga. Pundits on Fox and CNN debated. Desperate bid for sympathy versus patriarchal horror. I dodged mics. But the controversy stung. Trolls online calling me hysterical. Gold digger. Elena prescribed mindfulness apps. I prescribed middle fingers. Liam turned 6 in May. Party at the park with piñatas and face paint. He wanted Ethan there. Just for cake. I relented, supervised video call from prison. His face pixelated on my tablet. Happy birthday. Slugger. Ethan grinned, but his eyes flicked to me. Miss you. Ollie. We need to talk private. Liam waved. Oblivious. But I saw the hook. After. Alone in the kitchen scraping frosting. The phone rang, burner.
Blocked.
You dig too deep. You'll bury the kid. Rico's crew? Or Ethan's? Marcus tailed leads to a halfway house in back of the yards. A lowlife named Trey, ex-con. Ethan's gopher. I staked it myself one humid night. Parked in a borrowed Civic. Binoculars fogging. Trey slipped out at midnight. Meeting a shadow in an alley. Cash exchanged. Envelope back. My dashcam caught plates. Feds ID'd it as a lawyer's ride. Ethan's new counsel. Greasy as week-old fries. The decision nod. Go public. Risk Liam's safety? Or play dirty? Meet Ethan on his terms? Controversy brewed in my gut. Vigilantism versus vulnerability. American justice for women like me was a rigged casino. Play safe. Lose slow. Go bold. Maybe win big or bust. I chose bold. Carla arranged a compassionate visit at Statesville. Plexiglass between us. Guards looming. June heat warped the air as I sat. Hands steady. Ethan leaned in. Smirk oily. You look good.
Ollie.
Divorce suits you. Bullshit pleasantries skipped. I slid the photo across. Explain. His laugh barked. Harlan's a liar.
But yeah.
I panicked. Wanted control. You were pulling away even then. Pulling away? I'd been all in. Blind to his rot. He leaned closer. Voice a rasp. Liam's not mine. Aaliyah. That's the secret. Test again.
Lie.
Had to be, but doubt slithered. Why tell me now? Grin widened. Leverage. Drop the sabotage charge. Or, I tell the boy his mommy's the reason daddy's gone. Paint you as the poisoner. Threat wrapped in taunt. I stood, knocking the receiver. Rot faster. But driving home, Lakeshore Drive blurring. The seed sprouted. What if? No, I trusted science. Not snakes. Still, I ordered a discreet test. Swab from Liam's toothbrush mailed overnight. Results in 72 hours, 99.9 again. Ethan's bluff. Desperate Hail Mary. But bluffs escalate. July 4th weekend. Fireworks popping like gunfire. Trey's crew torched my BMW in the driveway, flames licking vinyl. Neighbors gawking. Liam screamed from his window. I dragged him out. Smoke acrid in our throats. Arson pinned on Ethan's orders.
Per snitch.
Feds upped protection. Safe house offer. But I refused. Running? That handed him the win. The counterstrike hit in August. Courtroom climax under fluorescent buzz. Ethan's trial annex, sabotage folded into conspiracy. Jury a mix of South Side steel and North Shore skepticism. I took the stand, voice amplified by ghosts. He didn't just steal money. He tried to steal my future. Our sons. Exhibits flashed. Lab reports. The clipping. Harlan's taped confession. Ethan's lawyer crossfired. MS. Brooks. Isn't this revenge porn for a failed marriage? Gasps rippled. Judge banged. Sustained rephrase. Controversy peaked. Op-eds in the Trib. Is Aaliyah Brooks hero or harpy? Social media split. Justice for Ollie versus innocent until. I ignored it, focusing on Liam's swim lessons. His gap-toothed grin. But tension coiled. A spring wound tight. Then the twist. Vanessa resurfaced. Not in Witsec, but a dive motel in Joliet. Drunk dialing Marcus. Tell Aaliyah. Ethan's kid? It's mine.
What?
She babbled. A fling preemie. Abortion hushed. But Ethan obsessed. Projecting Air Hunter on Liam. The sabotage? To test my loyalty. Force a redo with her. Delusional. Diabolical. I drove to her that night. Rain sheeting windshield. Heart a piston. Motel reeked of stale smoke. Vanessa gaunt. Eyes hollow. He said you'd never know. Used me like a placeholder. Confession poured, texts, sonograms faked. The real secret, Ethan's sterility. Viagra scripts buried in fraud files. Liam was mine. Donor sperm from our fertility consult, I'd forgotten in grief. Validation crashed like waves. Back home, I burned the photo, ashes swirling in the sink. Ethan had built an empire on illusions, affairs, crimes, fatherhood. Crumbled now. Fall deepened, leaves gold and brittle. Sentencing reconvene in October. Ethan shackled, defiant. She's lying, he yelled as the judge tallied. Life. No parole. Sabotage sealing the coffin. His family absent. Vanessa got time served for her flip. I walked out into crisp air. Liam waiting with Mama, holding a "You're my hero" sign. But the cold snap hit December 2025. Temps plunging to 5 degrees Fahrenheit overnight. I'd picked Liam up late from practice, hockey dreams. Ethan's old skates refitted. Rushed inside for cocoa. Forgot him on the step. 5 minutes. Eternal. Found him huddled. Cheeks blue. Whispering. Daddy called. Said sorry.
Inside.
The landline blinked. Voicemail from Statesville. Ethan's voice fractured. Ollie. The secret's out. Liam's yours. Always was. Forgive me.
Click.
I deleted it. Wrapped my boy in blankets. Thawed him slow. No forgiveness, just forward. That night, as snow piled silent, I held him close, our breaths sinking. Revenge complete. Not with blood, but truth, unburied, unbowed. The American way, messy, controversial.
But ours.
Word count, 1008. I found my son freezing outside in 5 degrees Fahrenheit, inside. His father's secret was waiting for me, part 3. Winter's grip tightened post-thaw. Chicago's wind, a howler's lament off the lake, whipping through Oak Park's bare elms like accusations unpaid. Liam recovered, quick, hot baths, mugs of Swiss Miss. A cartoon marathon that left him giggling at SpongeBob's absurdities. But me? The voicemail looped in my skull. Ethan's sorry, a siren's call, tempting me to dive back into the deep. Forgiveness? Not in my vocabulary. Not after the basement's echo. The pillow's crush. Yet doubt lingered. A low hum. Had I overplayed? Turned protector into destroyer? January 2026 dawned gray. Resolutions mocking from gym flyers and dry-cleaned suits. Work ramped, a Super Bowl spot for Nike. Empowering ads with fierce athletes smashing glass ceilings. Fitting, I felt the shatter in my bones. Carla called mid-pitch. Good news?
Ollie.
Appeals denied. Ethan's done. Relief washed. But shallow. Freedom's a tide. Ebbs with whispers. Liam's questions evolved. Kindergarten sharpening his tongue. Mommy. Was Daddy bad like the Grinch? Over mac and cheese. I'd parse truth for tiny ears. He made mistakes. Big ones. But we're okay now. Books helped, the invisible string. Tales of unbreakable bonds. He drew pictures. Us as superheroes. Ethan a distant cloud. Therapy for him too. Play sessions with puppets. The counselor nodded approval. He's processing. You're doing right. But right's relative in a city of contrasts. Gold Coast galas versus Englewood evictions. My suburb safe but scarred. Mama pushed church. Sunday masses at St. Albie's. Incense curling like prayers unanswered. Let God handle the rest. Baby, she'd say, gripping my hand during homilies on mercy. Mercy? I dealt it in spades, anonymous tips. Not bullets.
Still.
Rico's torch job haunted dreams, flames devouring the beamer. Liam screams a siren. Marcus updated in February. Over ribs at Lem's barbecue. Trey's singing like a canary. Ethan's got no strings left. But a new thread tugged. Harlan. The doc. Out on probation. Whispering to reporters. She exaggerated. It was consensual meds. Lies metastasizing. A podcaster picked it up. Aaliyah Brooks. Victim or vixen? Listeners piled on. Doxing my Insta. Trolls flooding with eggplant emojis and slurs. Controversy's currency. Clicks over compassion. I clapped back once. A medium post raw as open vein. Betrayal isn't binary. It's the slow poison you sip thinking it's wine. I survived. You went viral. Shares from Me Too vets. But backlash bit. Ethan sistered Meng. You're ruining our name. For what? Attention? Family loyalty. Blind as bats. I blocked. Breathed. Boxed up the hate. Spring teased early. March crocuses defiant in mulch. Liam's birthday loomed, 7 now. Gap filled by a permanent tooth. Hockey stick slung like Excalibur. Party at the rink. Friends and mini pads.
Puck sipping.
I watched from bleachers. Heart swell and ache. This boy. Mine alone. Gliding free. No Ethan's shadow coaching from sidelines. But midway, a face in the crowd, Vanessa. Incognito in hoodie and shades. Hovering at the Zamboni gate. Pulse thundered. She approached slow. Hands up. Just talk.
Ollie.
Please. Coffee after. Neutral ground at a Starbucks off lake. Her eyes ringed dark. I'm clean. Witsec's a joke, new name. Same nightmares. She slid a thumb drive across foam cups. Everything. Ethan's ledgers. My notes. Proof he targeted you, from jump. I plugged it later. Alone. Laptop glowing accusatory. Files unfolded like origami horrors. Emails plotting the fentanyl frame. Dating to our engagement party. Secure the asset, he'd written to Harlan. Me reduced to balance sheet. Vanessa's addendum. He said you were disposable. Liam the prize. Prize? My son. A trophy in his sterile delusion. Why now? I asked her that day. Steam rising. She shrugged. Fragile. Redemption? Or hell?
Spite.
He's rotting. I want peace. We didn't hug, too hallmark, but parted civil. Her number exchanged. Controversial alliance. Ex-mistress as ally. Raised eyebrows at Elena's. Boundaries blur in trauma bonds. Tread light. April showers fed May flowers. But storms brewed internal. The podcast is sued for defamation. My Medium post libelous, he claimed. Carla swatted it. Discovery unearthed his ties to Ethan's family. Paid smears. Case dropped. But ripples spread. Job offers trickled. A book agent sniffing memoir potential. Trench. Reborn from betrayal. Tempting. But words felt cheap against lived fire. Liam's school play, The Lion King. Him as young Simba hit June. Auditorium packed with proud parents. I sat front row. Mama beside. As he roared his lines. Spotlit and fearless. Post curtain. Roses in hand. But a note slipped into my program. Proud of you both. Miss my boy. Ihao? Prison mail. Forwarded sly. I crumpled it. But Liam saw. From Daddy? Eyes hopeful.
Crushing.
That night, decision crystallized, contact controlled. Supervised letter exchange via Carla, histamine filtered, mine neutered of venom. First from him, ramblings of regret, Bible quotes cherry-picked. I was lost.
Ollie.
Found God here. I wrote back curt. Liam's thriving. Focus there. His replies escalated. Probing. Tell me about the boy.
Does he ask?
Subtle hooks. Reeling for weakness. July heat baked the city. Lakefront jogs a sweat-soaked purge. Marcus warned of loose ends, a guard at Statesville. Pocketed by Ethan's kin. Smuggling extras. Watch your mail. Paranoia peaked. I installed P.O. Box reroutes. But the threat felt abstract until August. A package at work. Unmarked. Containing a doll, rag. Stitched crude. Pins through belly. Voodoo cheap. But message clear, still watching. Feds looped in. But evidence thin. I countered bold, public. A TEDx talk in September. Revenge as rebirth. Stage lights hot. Crowd hushed. I died inside that basement, not literally, but close. Came back swinging, not for blood, but justice. Controversial? Hell yes. Necessary? Damn right. Applause thundered. Clips went viral. Shifting narrative from Harpy to Phoenix. Book deal signed that week. Advance funding a trust for Liam. But twists don't quit. October frost nipped. 3 years post-rebirth. Vanessa vanished. Witsec breach. Body fished from the Calumet River. Overdose ruled suspicious. Note in her pocket. Tell Ollie. He knew about the baby.
Mine.
Ethan's? No, hers. The one she'd aborted. But he knew, implied complicity. Perhaps the hit tied to silencing her forever. Rage reignited, but tempered. I met Ethan's sister at a neutral cafe in Evanston.
Her posturized.
Truce, she said. Sliding docs. Power of attorney. Family foundation dissolving his shares to Liam. We're cutting losses. Take it for the boy. Motive? Guilt. Or laundering legacy. I signed. Wary. But the windfall secured college. Braces. Dreams funded clean. November elections buzzed. Trump-era echoes in ads. But my ballot marked progress. Local DA vowing white-collar crackdowns. Mama hosted Thanksgiving. Table groaning with greens and giblet gravy. Liam regaling aunts with school tales. No ghosts at that feast. Just us. Unbreakable. December crept. Holidays a minefield of memories. Tree trimming to a Charlie Brown Christmas. Liam hanging ornaments. The sapphire one-eyed melted down. Recast as a star. For new beginnings, he said. Wise beyond years. I nodded. Throat tight. Then the freeze. December 2nd. 5 degrees Fahrenheit plunging overnight. Wind chill to 0. Liam's hockey practice ran late. Coach drilling face-offs. Rink echoing pucks. I texted on my way. But traffic snarled on Eisenhower. Semis jackknifed. By pickup. Arena emptying. But him? Missing from the bleachers. Skates ditched by the door. Panic-clawed visions of vans. Abductions. Ethan's reach infinite. Called Mama. Marcus. 911 in queue. Rushed home. Streetlights haloed in snow. And there, porch steps. My boy curled fetal. Parka unzipped. Cheeks chapped raw. Mommy. Sobs racked him as I lifted. Body ice block stiff. Inside. Heater blasting. I stripped layers, skin to skin under quilts, murmuring nonsense till color returned. What happened? Baby, hot chocolate steaming. His voice small. Daddy called the rink.
Said meet outside. Surprise.
But no one came. Prison call? Logged impossible, but the guard, the smuggler. Ethan's final play. Lure him out. Exposed to elements. Frame me negligent. Heart attack cold. If I'd been later. Feds swarmed dawn, tracing a spoofed line to Trey's old cellmate, loyalty bought cheap. Charges stacked. Attempted kidnapping. Conspiracy. Ethan's cellmate ratted. He planned it months. Teach her fear. But fear? I'd conquered it. New Year's Eve. Safe house skipped. We partied home. Liam in footy jammies. Countdown on TV. Ball dropped. Confetti raining digital. And he hugged me fierce. Love you, Mommy. Forever. Me too.
Kid.
Forever. Epilogue whispers. Books outline done. Therapy ongoing. Dates with the teacher blooming tentative. Ethan's appeals exhaust. Life sentence etched stone. Vanessa's killer? Unsolved. But closure and release. Her drive donated to DA. More indictments pending. In this second life, I didn't just survive. I scripted the sequel. Controversial? The choices, alliances with exes. Public brawls. Guns and purses. Drew lines in sand. But sand shifts. Truth endures. And in 5 degrees Fahrenheit freezes. When secrets wait inside. You learn. Warmth's not given. It's claimed. Fierce and unyielding.